You know what? Can I stop and do a sound check on mine? I just want to make sure.
You know what? Claps.
I did a snap test. I didn't really do a sound test, but you know what? Flying blind. I'm not going to check.
Blind.
We're just doing.
It's recording. It's recording though, right? Hey everybody! Welcome back to another episode of the Fake Philosophers. I'm Mike.
I'm Eddie.
And that's Mike and Eddie.
Yep. Thank you.
I'm Mitch. I'm Mitch. You want to take that again? No, we're not. You know what? No go backs.
No go backs.
No
readings.
No tangents. We're gonna stay on point today.
We'll see about that. Yeah.
Tangents my butt.
And we will take everything seriously, and we're gonna keep the personal insults to ourselves. And you know what?
Mitch, I'm sorry last episode for calling you an asshole. You didn't.
You know,
no, in my head.
We're going to keep each other's significant others out of our mouths.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the names of our significant others out of our mouths.
But first, topical. Update on Ukraine, because everybody comes to us for the updates on Ukraine.
This week on Ukraine. Eddie, you got a good sound cue for us there? A good music intro for this week in Ukraine?
If we could hear it, we'll end up hearing it.
Okay, not that one.
Okay.
There we go.
It's not very good. No. Well, that kind of. I'm sorry. That was because there's people dying over there, and there's.
You're trying to make light of it. I understand.
So yeah, I don't want to make light of it. Even though we're kind of a tongue-in-cheek podcast. Well,
yeah.
No. Why did I get awkward all of a sudden? Because it's
You're
a really important talk of it. Anyways,
never
awkward. Forward.
No, so I'm kind of tired of talking about Ukraine, but it was kind of interesting this past week. Upon shooting this, I guess Putin and the Russians have come out and said, like, yeah, everything's going according to plan. This is what we wanted. What we wanted to do was just weaken the Ukrainian military enough and isolate them so that we can go and liberate Donetsk? Am I saying it right?
Mm-hmm.
Donetsk? And I couldn't help but kind of laugh, like, is this what you wanted? Or are you just pivoting a little bit? Like, if I stormed into Mitch's house and I'm like, Mitch, I'm taking everything in your fridge. And Mitch is like, no, you're not. And then I just grab potato off the counter and I'm like, all I wanted was the potato. And I left. So it's just interesting to me that people still think, or they still think that anyone believes them.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, they're lying to the populace, and it's really about Vladimir Putin doing that.
Yeah.
That's the advantage of state-run media. And if history's anything, the precedent for Russia, we can see what happened with Chechnya. You just bomb the place out. If it doesn't go so well the first time, you regroup, then go in, and you completely frickin' destroy it, and then put in a puppet dictator or somebody who's very friendly with the government and does whatever you tell them, a little bulldog there, and there's your governance, and everything's roses and what have you. So we can expect the same from Russia, same playbook. We've seen it before.
Yeah, it's almost comical to me, because
very
when this all happened, they're just getting there to keep the peace, and then it was we're invading Ukraine because they're Nazis and we're going to denazify them. And then now that it didn't go to plan, it's like, no, this is what we're doing the entire time. It's just funny to me. I'm like, were you fucking 10? Like, this
adjust the narrative so you look good. That's what it is.
Of course, I get it. It's just funny to me. It's just funny to me. That's all.
Mm-hmm. We have journalistic practices that have a degree of integrity. At least that's what we'd like to believe. But have more integrity than propaganda, and that's what they're used to. That's every place else in the world, has not every place else. Majority of the world has state-run media, so it's like government controls the narrative, and if you want to be powerful and seem powerful, then you're going to believe your own press.
Mm-hmm. Mitch, anything on Ukraine?
Last I heard is that Russia is actually making tactical withdrawals away from, was it Mariupol, whatever that city is. They've left Chernobyl because apparently some Russian soldiers were getting some radiation.
Funny how that happens if you're asking your troops to dig trenches in radioactive earth. How did that happen?
Crazy. So
No one saw that coming.
I stand surprised that Putin has not done any chemical weapons yet, or anything like that. It seems like the Ukraine might pull this shit off. So I'm just munching on popcorn watching this at this point, because everything I thought might have happened by now has not happened. So it's pretty amazing.
I think Russia's saying that too. Well, damn, this was
Right.
Yeah.
That's what even though it was stupid, when they announced it, like, no, this is what we wanted the whole time. We just want to liberate the Nans. I was kind of relieved. It's like, okay, he didn't escalate this shit and start using chemicals or nukes. He pivoted to something kind of less severe.
Yeah.
To where this sounds kind of, I don't know if it's dark, but I almost am like, okay, cool. Just let him take that region and end it. Or
It's
something
not
like
end it though. No, it's
I know, but in my head, everyone talks about Putin having an off ramp, and I kind of like, could this be the off ramp? That's me being optimistic, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I think those conditions will come from Putin, not from us. I mean, I think what a lot of people are wondering is at what point do we let him have his out? I think Putin, you see, with his now saying, this is what we wanted or whatever. I think there's going to come a point, and again, I've been wrong so far, but I think there might come a point where Putin says, all right, all we want to do is this, and then we'll be done. And then it'll go from there, whether it be just to upset a little bit more, or a time frame, or a particular city or region or whatever, and then let him take it from there.
Yeah, there's not really an off ramp. There's him stopping and regrouping, and then him redoubling his attack once he's licked his own wounds and gotten things squared away. And just look at Chechnya.
Yep.
That's all you need to look at.
All right.
Thank you, Ukraine.
Yeah, moving on. So, I didn't want to talk about Will Smith, but as I said before we started recording, a few people actually reached out and wanted to know if we were going to talk about it. Eddie, I have a feeling, Eddie, that you have some strong opinions.
Oh, very much so.
And I think, though, that the entire, not just the incident that happened, the entire context surrounding it, we could actually make a philosophical conversation about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on board now with the Will Smith talk.
I will say that I was the same. I was like, what are we going to say that everyone else already hasn't made a meme about? What can we go? And I thought this Monday. I thought by Monday afternoon, because it happened on Sunday night. Monday afternoon, I thought, people are going to get tired of talking about it. By Tuesday morning, everyone's like, oh, everyone's tired of talking about it. And yet not. It's still in the news, but not because, hey, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. It's more commentary on the narrative. More people are coming out and saying, this was wrong because of this. It's also wrong because of also this and also that. So it's remarkable. By the time this episode airs, it will have been a week later. Conversations are still coming around. New conversations, new topics about it are still coming around, and it's interesting, very interesting.
I was struggling with that as well, because it's like, well, why can't we produce something on Monday? Let's hop in on this.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But the narrative is still ongoing, because there's a bunch of fallout that still makes this topic relevant, and it's getting more interesting. I thought it was going to be dead in the water as well. It's not. It really is. It set a precedent, not in a good way either.
Yeah, I'd agree. So, Eddie, I have a feeling you've been bursting at the seams waiting for this shit, so I'm going to let you go ahead and share your opinion.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's mainly a commentary, and if you haven't seen the video, believe it or not, like the day after I went into like the whirlpool, there was a guy, and I don't know if it was his girlfriend, they were holding hands, but whatchamacallit, he did not, he called himself an old man, and he's like below 25, and I had to go over the incident with him, and I did it step by step. He made the interesting observation, which kind of reflects mine, in that, stand-up comedy really is kind of the pinnacle of free speech. And these days, when free speech isn't necessarily what you like, it's not necessarily things you like to hear. It's there to produce a reaction, to produce a joke. The trouble with comedy is that everybody's an expert on it. It's, you know what's funny. Everybody knows what's funny. Nobody knows how to write a joke. When it hits too close to home, or you decide that it's offensive, there's a variety of actions you can do. Will Smith, he wasn't out of control. He knew what the hell he was doing. Got up off his ass in the middle of this live show and smacked Chris Rock across the face. To me, Chris Rock is the real winner here, because he just kept on going. He made a comment on it. He let the awkwardness set in. Today, there's even news that, kind of going off of the narrative of what happened. I thought it was completely inappropriate. I was like, everyone's asking, why wasn't he removed? People are giving him standing ovations.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, okay, if you ask Will Smith to leave and he refused to leave, what are you going to do? You're going to call the LAPD on Hollywood's biggest night, have him removed? He gets up to go up there for 5 minutes. He gets to leave with his award to standing ovations. And if you're sitting in the back row, how do you know that this isn't staged? You don't know what the fallout is. So I was angry at the people who kind of applauded applauded Will Smith's performance. How could you not? You had a front row for it. But then again, if you're in that audience, how could you know whether or not it was staged or it wasn't staged? So
Yeah.
I have more perspective on that, or more acceptance of that. But now we're looking at an act of violence committed on live TV, and the Academy is going to say it's going to take weeks. And of course, people like us are going, what, weeks? How can it do that?
Yeah.
That means lawyers are getting involved. That means we're looking at expulsion. This is the first time that's ever happened, and they're going to have to respond accordingly. And you can bet there's plenty of attorneys if it's going to take weeks to get involved. So it's ongoing.
So, I'm not gonna lie. I rewatched that clip like 20 times. Because at first I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. And then I was like, Will Smith seemed very casual about that. I don't know. And so I watched it like 20 times and I was like, is this shit staged? Because it kind of looks staged. And then I just through channels, it was confirmed it was not staged at all. So what I will break down. I won't go into too much detail so that Mitch can get his piece in, and then we can all fight about it. I think there's not so that's not true. Most people, I know some people are saying that they supported what he did. There are some people who do that. My opinion is, I can understand why he did it, but it was completely inappropriate, and there was a better way to go about it. Now, with that said, and this is kind of a tangent, but kind of not, I feel, fuck you, Mitch. I feel bad. I feel bad for Will Smith more than I do Chris Rock. Because, one, he walked away the loser of that altercation. Two, I think that dude needs to see a fucking therapist. And three, he needs to ditch Jada. Because this bitch, like, if you guys remember the internet, she had him on her talk show in July. I looked it up, July 2020, to talk about when they were separated and how she was fucking this younger dude who was a friend of the family. Like, look, and I'm sure, Mitch, you're married. You might, the worst arguments you could get in with your wife, you're not going to talk to us about it. That's between you and your wife. That's how I would operate anyway. Same with like me and my girl. Like, we've gotten into some bad ones. You'll never hear about it because I don't want you to look at her in a different light. Not that she's like evil or nothing. It's nothing like that. But my point is, like, private shit is private shit, and she took it. I like I said, read about today. The guy's name, I forgot his fucking rap name, but his name's August. Yeah. And so her and Will separated. They didn't divorce, but they separated for a little bit. And she had this thing with August. Okay, cool. And I guess it was like a week or two before that show aired, August came out and talked about it publicly. So what Jada and Will should have done was, yeah, that was a rough time of our lives. We've moved on. What Jada did was bring Will on her fucking YouTube or Facebook talk show and demasculated him. If you remember the infamous meme photo of him like fighting back tears. Like, and this guy, if you know anything about him, he already has like issues with confidence and issues with other things. And so she demasculated him. And then in that clip, you see him chuckling at the joke because it was kind of a funny joke. And she rolls her eyes, and you don't really see because the camera cuts away. But it's then when he gets up and goes to fucking hit Chris Rock. And I've seen shit at the bar. I was actually talking to somebody about it today. This one guy who was a really cool customer, this is years ago, was dating this crazy bitch. And she would always get him into altercations at the bar to where she would just like lie about something that happened. That guy was mean to me. And so he was a great guy who got into these fucking fights because his bitch was crazy. I'm not saying all girls are crazy. Let's get that out of the way. But the toxic ones, like Jada, I feel like it's just destroyed this man's confidence to where he feels the need. I'm a man. I have to prove I'm a man. So I'm going to get up in front of a live audience at the fucking Oscars to smack this man. And I was talking to somebody about it today. Like, hypothetically, if you just like rubbed her back, like, don't worry about it, we'll handle it later. And then at an after party, just knock Chris Rock out. I'm not saying it's okay, but at least like he still has his manhood. He's still stuck up for his girl. He'll probably be on TMZ, but it's in that live audience setting. Like, there's something not right about you. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he needs to see a therapist. Like, he's got shit going on in his head that's not healthy for him. And Jada fucked that dude up.
There's I mean, from jump, I mean, I'm all for, like, you know, the biggest thing that everyone keeps forgetting is that we got to stop comparing our lives to this person of royalty's life. And we can say they're not royalty, but they are. We worship them. We give them money they get paid. They're in the top 1% of the world because they get paid to make believe on TV, and they get paid for it. They're in another world career-wise. They're in another world geographically, and there's this whole community where they're just kind of in this bubble, and they just kind of stroke each other off. I don't know what they do.
That's what the Oscars is, yeah.
And then so there's already that, and then there's this other paradigm change in which they have an open relationship, which people, I think, today trying to be bohemian, thinking that they're progressive because that's an okay thing to do. It's obviously, and we saw evidence of it on Sunday, it's obviously more one-sided approved than they pretend to be.
And real quick, because on that, I know people in real life who are in an open relationship, and it's 50-50, and they're happy, and that's great for them if that's what they want to do. But you're right. I also know someone who was like, yeah, me and my wife have an open relationship. In my head, I was like, then why every 2 weeks does she come in here crying about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's someone I know from the bar. And so I didn't mean to interrupt you. You hit on a point. No. The open relationship is fine if it's 50-50.
Yeah.
But it's clearly not 50-50.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Mike. This was the straw that broke Will's back. It was, I think, I've seen a lot of posts of people saying this was a peaking moment where everything all piled up, and it took that one little look at Jada in the middle of the moment to suddenly just make him snap and go off and go on this. But yeah, I mean, a few points to what Eddie was saying. The removal, apparently, these are things I heard literally today. Reports are coming out now that the Academy, the officials of the Academy, the showrunner or whatever, they're getting two-sided stories now. One story is coming out saying that they asked Will to leave and he refused to go. Another one came out that they didn't ask him to leave and they wanted him to stay and all that. So it'll be interesting to see, because the Academy's got to be shitting their pants, because they've been shitting their pants for the past 5 years now, because that 1 year there was not an African American nominated for like an actor or anything like that. So everyone called the Academy Awards racist, which, if you do not know what the definition of irony is, you look it up and you'll see the Academy Awards right there. It's the most progressive community probably in the world per capita is Hollywood, and them, progressing the rights of people, and the Academy, for God's sake, giving the award to Hattie McDaniels for Gone with the Wind before she was even allowed in the building. It was the Academies have been like the pinnacle of progression and human rights, but then for them to be called racist is amazing.
Well, yeah.
It's amazing. So right now they're dealing with all that, and now they're like, shit, what do we do? Do we punish Will Smith? Do we do nothing? Because they are not going to win here at all.
So, real quick before you go to the next point,
Yeah.
I have read with almost certainty that he was asked to leave, or they asked his agent or publicist, "Hey, can you get him out of here?" and he refused.
Okay.
And I know some people are saying they should have escorted him out. I actually empathize with the choice of not doing that, because by doing that, it would be creating more of a spectacle and create more of a controversy, that because it could get physical. So with them not escorting him out, I'm not saying that it was right, but I can understand it.
True, but silence is a response, and they
Sure.
kind of they didn't say it was okay, but they didn't say it was wrong either. And now they're like, oh, we're embarrassed and whatever. But
Yeah,
they were focused on the show, you know, and then he gets to get up there for 5 minutes, you know. Yeah, and you know what else he could have said? You know what Will Smith could have said? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this happened. Love makes you do crazy things. And so I think that if the Academy hires people like that will insult my wife, I'm just going to take this Academy Award and I'm going to set it here. I appreciate the love. Thank you for the votes. Goodbye.
He could have
do that. He's out there laughing. He's at the Vanity Fair party.
afterwards, yeah.
It up. It's only the next morning where it's like, oh, not everybody's on my side.
Yeah.
I just won Best Actor, but people aren't talking about that. People are talking about the violence, and it's like,
well, I didn't have a problem with the speech because he did kind of apologize, but
no, not to cut you off, but I do. He didn't, you know, he supposedly did this for Jada. He didn't even mention Jada in his speech.
Fair.
He talked about family and the ambiguous family, like the movie he did. That's great, and he read the prepared speech, but he didn't even mention his wife, or like at least give a disclaimer, like, you know what, I'm about to take responsibility for this shit. I accept it, but you know, it's obviously a very personal subject, and I reacted wrong. But sorry, I love Jada, and I'll do crazy shit for her. So
that's fair.
What I was going to say though, another thing that could have happened. Sorry, Will Smith couldn't be here tonight because he's at home taking care of his sick wife. He won the Best Actor award. Congratulations, Will Smith. Yeah, I love the Academy. Thank you very much. Amazing night. I'm at home taking care of my wife. She's extremely ill, and I love her more than the award, but much respect. Why didn't that happen?
Well, because it wasn't a sickness enough.
Yeah, it wasn't like a
keep her home. It wasn't sick. It was just like, hey, her hair's falling out.
Where's the love? You know, it's like that's love too. You could show love makes you do crazy things, right? Including stay at home and take care of your wife. You know, there's a lot of things that didn't happen, and like there's no narrative where he comes out ahead. You know,
no, I agree.
You guys brought up the whole background of why it happened. I don't care why it happened. The reason why what happened was somebody got slugged for a joke. And to me, that's not acceptable because it's an infringement on free speech. It's violence against free speech. That's the way
I don't think Mitch and I said it was acceptable. We're agreeing that's unacceptable. We were just talking about the context of the situation.
I hear.
We agree that it's unacceptable. What I was going to say,
I do like that point of view, though, is that it doesn't matter why he did it. The fact is he did it, and how he reacts means everything. I mean, we've all flown off the handle every now and then, but how we react and move from it is what makes all the difference. So.
Well, no. The reason why I bring up the context of the past, though, not to justify what he did, but just to address that separate issue, because there is an issue of a comic getting slugged, which is an issue that's very important. The issue I was talking about, how this man got here. Because, like, I could fly off the handle and kill my lady for a reason. It doesn't mean that's right. But then if you look at then you can look at the relationship and be like, oh, this is how she mentally abused him for so many years. It doesn't justify it, but now we understand it. What I was going to say, though, is
people wanted to know why Lee Harvey Oswald was there. So
yeah, exactly, because we just want to understand. But I will say, I think most people are on the same page. I didn't watch the acceptance speech. I saw a clip of it after. The giving a fucking standing ovation.
Ooh.
If you guys watched it, I didn't. Like I said, I saw a clip of his speech and that was it.
In here.
Was it a standing ovation of his Oscar performance, or were they giving him a standing ovation for what he said?
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. I'm just trying to think, like, why did they do that? Like, if Heath Ledger was alive when he got the Oscar for the Joker, and he was a complete prick on stage, and they still didn't give him a round of applause for his performance, I'd be like, okay, guy's an asshole, but great performance. that's where when I heard that they gave him standing ovation, I was just kind of like, for what?
Did
For
this
what?
just not happen? Yeah. Did you not see? Did you not hear him? Okay, and to edify that, you did. Okay, this slap is stage. Keep my wife out of your fucking mouth,
Mm-hmm.
and repeat it twice. Repeat it twice. He's mic'd, and you get Chris Rock's reaction. The rest of the audience.
Will Smith wasn't Mike.
He wasn't mic'd. Well, okay, they're going to go back and review it. But then again, okay, so you're standing, you saw what just happened. Why are you standing up, peace-loving Hollywood? You know, recycled set wood-loving Hollywood. Why are you doing that?
No, that was
They're
bizarre
so
to me.
full of shit.
They
so
are.
full of shit. And
It's amazing.
And it's finally coming to a head. There's this whole fucking mentality, too, with a lot of the woke culture is that some things are off limits. We've seen this with Dave Chappelle, who we've idolized for 20 years now, and then suddenly he comes out and starts saying stuff about the trans community, and suddenly that's off limits. You can talk about everything, but that is off limits, and which is the complete antithesis of comedy, and that was his whole point. And we see it now at the Oscars. I mean, we saw Ricky Gervais. I don't know if he did the Oscars or it was the Golden Globes or what.
It was Golden Globes, I think, yeah.
Ricky Gervais spent the whole night bashing every celebrity he could think of, and everyone threw a fit because they were like, "Oh, you can't. That's crossing the line. That's too much. That's off limits." Well, now that mentality has manifested into actual physical violence. You could say this is just a one-off, or you can also say that a lot of people do about other issues. Is that no, this was a mentality fostering and nurtured, and finally it exploded as it was wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's what all these comedians are warning against. It's like, if we don't nip this in the bud, people are going to start getting violent, and boom,
and this is what happens. And this is what happens.
Yeah.
You're never ever going to be too left. You are never ever going to be too progressive. The left eats itself. So at
Well, that's what they say.
They
say like,
what point does it stop?
They say when the joke I read recently, when a leftist disagrees with another leftist, they call him a liberal. Yeah, you know what? Like, I personally, I think maybe I'm disagreeing with you guys on this. I don't think this is an issue of being woke. I think it was because even when Ricky Gervais was popping off, people were upset, but they weren't storming the stage. I think this was a case of one mentally ill dude who's in a toxic relationship and overreacted over a dumb joke. Because the joke wasn't that bad.
It wasn't directed at her.
I thought it was fucking funny. Because the best part,
she laughed at it, didn't she? Or
she didn't laugh at it.
He laughed at it, and she rolled her eyes. And then and then different angle, she laughed when Chris Rock got knocked out or got hit. Oh, the
I didn't see that
one.
one.
Funny.
Well,
yeah,
she's a toxic bitch.
Oh, off, you know, and then their son comments, "Oh, this is how we do." So
I saw that too. Read the room, kid. But
you know, go bowling with Vladimir Putin. He believes the same way. Go for it. In fact, there's state-run media. There's no problems over there. There's no comedians on the news right now. You know, it's like if you're so woke, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for state-run media. You're looking for censorship. And that's that to the nth degree. Everybody says, no, we're on the right side, but that's where it ends up.
I don't think being woke means you want to move to Russia. I would disagree with that.
Well, you want to control free speech. That's what it boils down to me. And that's
maybe
an nth degree. That's an nth degree example of that. That's where I'm going. Because everybody believes they're on the right side of history. No, you're not if you're for censorship. You're in Chinese state-run media, or you're in Russian state-run media, or other state-run medias around the world. What we have here, it's not common. It's not common. The people who don't realize that have not traveled this earth.
No, and I understand that, but I think you're kind of taking a jump there, because I don't think Will smacking Chris Rock because he's fucking nuts is a slippery slope going to state-run media. I don't see that connection, if I'm being honest.
Well, you're excusing the behavior based on a mental condition, and you could argue
I'm not excusing
the joke was about a medical condition. So it's one medical condition, you know, slapping a sane person over another medical condition?
Here's where I think the bridge can be drawn is, again, going back to everything's going to be decided by the reaction of everyone. We should not say that this troubled man punching or slapping Chris Rock because he made a joke that was over the line. We shouldn't say that is what's going now to happen to the government, because that's just one guy. Where we can see the transition start to come is if next year the Oscars come out to all their announcers and say, you can't joke about this, you can't joke about that because it elicits violence, therefore making the violent actor the winner. You can't make jokes about this guy's wife. You can't make jokes about that because last year someone did and then it got violent. So you can't make that joke. Thus, the violent guy has won. The violence won and said some things are off limits, we decree it. And so now, again, that's not the same as the government doing it, but it's another step towards that end.
Well, yeah, that being said, it's not the government. They can do whatever they want. It's AMPAS show. If you say stay on script, these are only the jokes you're going to do. Woo! You want to see a drop in in viewers? Yeah. How about you let Will Smith do next year's hosting? Yeah, let him.
I'm for it.
We'll see
I'm
how
for
funny
it.
those jokes are.
I'm for it.
Yeah.
No.
Chris Rock and Will Smith co-hosting.
That I'm for it.
Woo!
And Jada brings out all the trophies.
You want to see ratings. You want to see through the roof ratings, right?
That is the only way the Oscars win, is if they let them co-host. That's the only way they'll win.
No, here's the thing. So government aside, this is a private company. So hypothetically, if they do decide, Mitch, what you said, whoever's hosting, here's the jokes you can say, here's the jokes you can't say, excuse me, Bubbles, etc. That's gonna leak. That's gonna leak. That's the case, and their viewership's gonna drop. So that's, we're all capitalists here. By them trying to go into that direction of censoring their hosts, they're gonna lose viewership.
Maybe,
so I don't think
maybe. I mean, 10 years ago, yeah, I'd agree with you. But today, everyone's so sensitive about what people say and what they do. And yeah, I know there's a big difference between an Academy Awards and the government. That is assuming that there's this big disconnect between the government and the Academy. But who decides the government? It's the big money roller community. It's the society that decides what the government says is and isn't okay.
I don't think there's a government issue in this unless somebody got hit. Okay, that's against the law. That's battery. But and otherwise, I brought the government into this. So, but then again, Disney has all kinds of censorship too, and they're thriving. So you hand the Oscars to them. They ain't going to do it for free. But if you want a Disney production, you give it to Disney.
I think we're taking big leaps here. I think this is not an isolated incident. It was an incident that was bad. The joke was not that bad. And I'll disagree. I don't think the vast majority of people are that sensitive. I think there is a very small amount of people who are very sensitive, and they're just really loud.
That's very true.
That's
true.
So
very.
I know Steve Carell sometime in the last few years came out and said if they made The Office now, they wouldn't get away with half the shit they did. And I completely disagreed, because the reason why they said some of the things in the show were to point out the absurdity or the nonsensical aspect of it. So I think they'd be fine. I think this idea that woke culture is getting out of control, we're kind of getting off the topic of the fucking joke here, of the incident, but I think this idea of woke culture getting out of control is sensationalized, because it's really a small minority of people who follow that kind of, not culture, but that narrative. Whereas the vast majority of people are kind of like, this is kind of silly. Okay. That's why woke culture doesn't bother me.
We could take a step back, because that was my bad bringing up crossing the line and what this could lead to. I'm not apologizing for it, but we can get back.
No, it's a whole nother discussion. Yeah, at some other point.
Yeah. Whole other discussion.
Off. You corrected me on that like 30 times. I'm still gonna always say.
I don't give a shit. I'll keep doing it. I don't give a shit.
And you're right, but
it doesn't make me right. I'm correct. It doesn't make me right. Another report, fun report for you guys. I heard today, so the updates of it. 66 people have sued is it the FCC or whatever the censorship organization that looks at have sued the, I think it's the FCC. Fact check me. It's that acronym, whatever the acronym is. They're suing because they were watching and they saw violence and profanity on live TV. So
That is
one report was like, it was by, I have no idea whether this particular complainer was what ethnicity they hailed from or what they claimed to be, but they were suing because their kids were watching and were asking racial-based questions about what they saw. Like they were saying, like, are African Americans like this? Is this what they do? So now they're suing that the Academy made their kids racist.
There's merit to that because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar came out and he lambasted Will Smith because he made the argument that you are perpetuating African American stereotypes for doing that. But to have a lawsuit to the FCC with that. Okay.
And there's a weird element of this too. None of this is in articles or anything, and I'm not sure what you guys have seen on social media, but I have seen, and I might be out of my place to bring this up, but whatever. Controversy might bring viewers. There's been this argument that in some of the comments I've seen, and I've just not engaged with people about it, that they're saying, and I actually agree to this point, is that black women in their hair, it's kind of like this thing, because even Chris Rock did a documentary about black women's hair, how it's unique, how it's kind of, I don't want to say sacred, but it's how it's very important. And then, so that when he insulted her hair, directly or indirectly, depending on how you stand about it, it was hitting on a sensitive thing that in the black culture you don't hit on. There's that aspect. I'm not saying I agree with it. But then there's another aspect where I've seen men defend Will unabashedly, because they're saying Will and Chris Rock both grew up in a culture to where if someone insults your wife, you act. And I was like, I can't speak from being part of the black culture, but I was like, so are we, it's almost like you just said, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said, like, so you are defending this because you're saying that part of that culture is violence is okay if you're defending your girl.
Yeah. And is it culture or is it a bad stereotype? And do you want to encourage it? So.
That was the argument they were making, is that in this culture, and I don't think it was like black culture in general, but like in this specific culture, you insult a man's wife, catching hands is warranted. And I was just like, okay, by making that argument, you are kind of now making black people in general look bad, because you're saying that this is fine in this community. And I was kind of like, that's not a good thing to say. I don't know how else to say my opinion.
It's not optimal. That's why you're getting attorneys involved in this and why it's going to take weeks. I hope AMPAS, quite frankly, takes the Oscar back and expels Will Smith from the Academy.
You know what? I think he should be expelled. I kind of would laugh if they took the Oscar back, because then everyone would know like he won the Oscar. He just doesn't have the
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of like
everybody voted for him. The committee voted for him.
Yeah, but it's kind of like when
because
they took away. Sorry, they kind of way like they took the championships away from like college football teams like a decade later. Like,
but they won.
We know they won. So what good does that do?
Yeah,
but
no, he should keep his Oscar and he should look at it on his shelf for the rest of his life, knowing that that's the year he humiliated himself, and that should be his punishment. And Chris Rock should sue him. And
there's the argument. The Academy's not the Academy at first hadn't gotten around to punishing him. Chris Rock's not going to press charges. He was given a standing ovation and walked away with his Academy Award, and that's how you reward violence. Bad precedents. Yeah. Where do you go from there? Hopefully the Academy will be stringent on this. If they're taking weeks, again, you're going to have
the flip side. Talking about Chris Rock, Will Smith basically.
Well, I was gonna say before we talk about Chris Rock, because I think that's a nice topic. I want to talk about the joke that he said, because he said, "Jada, I love you. I can't wait to see you in G.I. Jane 2."
No, yeah.
And so here's the thing too, in context, Jada has been open about, what's the disease called? I keep
alopecia or something like that.
Alopecia.
She has been open about it, that she has it. And I read something online from somebody who has that, a severe case of it, they're like, Jada doesn't even have a severe case of it. She shaves her head voluntarily just to deal with it, but it's not a severe case. So in my opinion, Chris Rock wasn't attacking the disease. He was making a joke about how she shaves her head. He wasn't saying like, "Oh, look at you, half-haired ass motherfucker," like nothing like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't say anything like that. He made the joke was towards her voluntarily shaving her head.
Yeah.
Not even that she's losing hair.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was kind of like, and she said previous to that, she openly talked about how she's comfortable with it and it doesn't bother her. So
apparently not. Apparently not. Bullshit.
There was like a TikTok where someone showed that clip of her saying that, and he's like, did you tell Will?" But I just wanted to touch on that because like the joke itself wasn't even that offensive.
It could have been. Well, that was a great thing about some people pointed out was you could, if you go back and watch it, frame by frame as everyone is, you could see what, like, one of the things Chris Rock literally said was, "Oh, that was a nice one."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have, and Chris Rock could have.
Yep.
So,
said some shit.
And then one more thing on it, and then I'm gonna let Mitch. We'll talk about Chris Rock. What I love, and I think it might have been in our group chat or another group chat, is that after he gets smacked, he's like, "Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me," and he's like, "Keep my wife's name out of your fuck." You could see in Chris Rock's eyes that he had fire.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "Nope, not gonna say it." Not, you know what I mean? He had jokes.
Because he looked around and he's like, "Hold on, I'm on national TV. I don't want to humiliate myself."
Of course.
He had
but you could see it because he stopped himself. He had fire. He was like, nope,
he's ready to unload. And he did the smartest thing of all. He did
of all the potential comebacks I've seen, that probably would have been the best one. Is like, "Will, I could have said some stuff, but I'm not going to because I'm on national TV and I'm not going to embarrass myself." And just like,
the way he handled it was fine. Just let it be awkward.
Yeah. No, he went on with the show. Awkward. He's a professional and he went on with the show.
But that's the first when I actually just looked in his eyes in that moment. You can see he's like opening his mouth to say something. He's like, nope, not gonna say it. I was like, what was he gonna say? What was he gonna say? I wanted to know.
Well, do you want to know? Because I believe this whole event has given Chris Rock pretty much an endless well of comedic,
has
content to write about.
In front of him. In other comics, they now have jokes. Just pull out the Will Smith joke.
Eddie mentioned this in my DMs or in the group chat anyway the other day and I'll let you say it, but I just want to say it has been confirmed because I heard it on the news this morning when he actually opened a show in Boston, just a few days ago or
Monday night. Monday night.
Oh, it was Monday night. Okay,
I think so.
Or let's just say it is. And Eddie told me what Chris Rock's opening line was.
"How was your weekend?" And then I've seen a clip from somebody sitting in the balcony of that show. And he's a consummate professional. He's like, "Yeah, I haven't had time to process it. I kind of wrote a whole show already."
Mm-hmm.
Or he's writing a show. Yeah, but but one thing I did hear is that when he took the stage, a side note, tickets for a show were like $50-$60 a week ago. Mm-hmm. Now they're at a zero to that. But anyway, but he came out and apparently they gave him a standing ovation. It was just kind of like the whole audience has been like, "Dude, deserves it." Black and white. Sorry, obviously, who was in the wrong here and whose side we're on? Because you coulda, and you didn't. You were the professional one,
and it's almost like slow cooking versus flash frying. Because he said, I already had this written show. I'm doing my show. Yeah. Once I process this, it's kind of hinted at. Once I process this, he didn't say it, but he's pretty much like, it's going down. Like,
it'll be great because you guys know you've seen comedy shows where it's like small venues, like 100, 150 people. That's where comics try stuff out. Mm-hmm. Like if they have, but they want to see how it plays or whatever. So we'll hear about jokes he's made either on phone footage or whatever in super small venues where he's trying material out, and he might definitely be talking about this in the next year or two, which will be fun.
I think it was in the book Small Bets. it opened with Chris Rock going to some of those clubs, and
Wow.
he'll get up, he'll pull up his stool and just say, "Okay, I got some jokes, but do you guys really want to hear about the Flintstones? Huh? No? Okay." And he'll start like just writing down like what kind of gets a laugh and stuff like that, and whether he should pursue that joke. Because once you have a comedic mindset and you know how to craft a joke, you're going to get it fine tuned. And he can do that at will.
That's what. No, he
yeah, the fact that he's really ruminating on it is amazing, and I can't wait.
It's slow cooking. It's slow cooking.
Yeah.
He's not rushing it. He's taking his time, and that's what it's like. It's gonna be fire.
We're looking at. Well, I think he knows. Everybody around him knows. Everybody who loves Chris sees another double platinum coming out.
Oh yeah. And how many Netflix, Amazon, HBO? I'm sure everyone's like,
yeah,
we want your next special.
His next special could suck dick, and it will sell out, and he will be rich. So, which it should. Good,
Absolutely.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm not worried about, because it doesn't affect me, is if like he goes that like ultra positive route to where he just doesn't joke about it.
I don't.
Or he. Because he's like been very apologetic about the joke he said, which he shouldn't have been. So I would just be really upset if he was like, I know everyone wants me to talk about Will Smith, and then maybe he makes like an innocent joke about it and then just forgets it. I'd be like, oh, come on.
Oh, hell no.
I mean, you got the jokes.
He got hit and he was burning that whole night. You do that to a comic, it's game on. It's game on. Because if you don't do the jokes, somebody else will. And everybody wants to hear from him.
And you know what? I think I have been a lifelong fan of Will Smith. I loved him as a rapper. I love him as an actor. Motherfucker deserves it. Because one thing I'm not fucking throwing out here trying to advertise it, but I've been writing a book for a decade about growing up in a bar atmosphere. And someone asked me, "Are you going to mention names when you tell these stories?" And part of me was like, "Yeah, because if you're in public acting like a dickhead, you should be called out for acting like a dickhead in public." Absolutely. And that's where, like, with Will doing this in front of fucking talk about public.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he deserves to get roasted. I would be so disappointed if Chris Rock tried to take that positive route of just forgetting about it. Like, he deserves to get roasted. And he knows it, I think. Will Smith knows it.
Will's going to get roasted forever, even if Chris Rock does it or not. I mean, I'm with you. I was the same way. I mean, during the peak Independence Day Men in Black days, I mean, Will Smith was my jam. Like, he was my favorite. And now just to see that, not a hero, but someone like I definitely like saw his movies and all that, but to see someone you looked up to act like a punk and like just, resort to that. And then even his apology, Will Smith's apology that he tweeted, that he like, normally you punch a guy and then, you have it, and then you like talk, and like, all right, look, I'm really sorry, whatever. And then later you tweet, "Hey, earlier today I talked to Chris and we, talked it out. You don't apologize via tweet. Hey, Chris, my bad."
Yeah.
That is cool. So you're a world famous celebrity. I'm gonna send out a tweet like I'm hiding under a damn rock.
Like you don't have his number on your phone. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if
you're
Chris
a man
Rock...
on stage, but you can't be a man afterwards. You can't get in your Bentley, go to his house. Chris, I'm sorry. Hey, news, come here, follow me. There'll be plenty of those, No,
I bet I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Rock, if one of his entourage said, "Hey, Will Smith tweeted at you. Do you want to see it?" And Chris Rock like, "No, I don't want to see it."
Yeah, and because then you look at that too, like you're a grown man who got smacked on stage in front of everyone, like so now you're trying to make me look like a bitch, kind of in a sense.
You're not even gonna be man enough to like apologize to my face and then
a call,
yeah, a call even, FaceTime me.
A fucking text.
Yeah, well, it gets into the kind of the structure of Hollywood. And now you've got egos, and now lawyers are getting involved. So it's a little bit more complex on the entertainment route, but there was no complexity when he got up out of his chair and smacked him and then, repeated himself twice as to why he was smacked. There was no politics, Hollywood politics, and that can be carried over. He can get his ass into his Bentley right now, go find Chris Rock wherever You want cameras? You want a public apology? Or another out for Will Smith, believe it or not. Why not do a Friars Club roast and donate 100% of those proceeds, everything he got from King Richard, give it to a battered woman's charity or something like that.
Or towards the
alopecia
disease.
awareness committee, you know,
Yeah.
frickin' Jerry's Kids, something where you actually feel good and communicates, you know, hitting people's not good, and then be on that circuit. Right now, it's like we're sending out cryptic tweets, and yeah, it's like we're kind of pussyfooting around. So if you thought smacking Chris Rock was going to make you a man, and then sending out a cryptic tweet apologizing was going to do the job, I'm sorry about that. So there's plenty of outs for these people. They have an audience, and they can do that. There's a reason why they're not doing that. I think we speak for Chris Rock, and he's letting that the spring for that coil charge and charge and charge. And once it releases that pinball, it's gonna be something awesome.
What's great is to see people like Chris Rock, who's obviously not only a professional, but been a professional for a long time. I think he knows how this can go if he just reacted or whatever. So I think he knows exactly what he's doing by just not saying anything and just letting it play out and then just capitalizing it, because
he's a comic. He is a hardcore circuit comic. He knows what he's doing, and he knows this is happening too. People will love it. People want to hear from him. It's like, I got a show. I'm doing the show. Y'all need to wait, because this is going to be good comedy, and you're going to get what you pay for.
And it's a weird comparison, but when I'm not sure how much into rap music you guys are, but a couple years ago, Machine Gun Kelly came out with like a diss track on Eminem. And everyone was like, what's Eminem going to say? And Eminem didn't say shit. But like 2 weeks later, he came out with a fire diss track and just wrecking Machine Gun Kelly. And everyone was like, yeah! He waited. He got it together. Yeah. Put his thoughts on paper. And fuck this guy's career up.
So much so that now Machine Gun Kelly's playing guitar and shit. He made him change genres.
Yeah, he's not
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen to Will Smith, theoretically. Because how does this go away for Will? What, you're going to cast him as a feel-good character?
Oh. Eddie cut out.
Eddie froze. But he's right, and he's great. And he's back. Sorry, you cut out.
Eddie, you cut out for a minute.
Character
how could I cut out? Oh, crap. Rode has encountered an error, and it's not my soundboard. That's why.
Oh.
I'm going to head. Okay, I might. Well, no, it's.
I still got your sound on this.
Cool. But, you know, are you going to cast him as a grandpa? Are you going to cast him as a feel-good character? Are you going to cast him as, you know, the guy that slays the dragon? Well, you can cast him as the guy who slays the dragon and then hits the princess. You know, I don't know. But...
if I were him, and obviously they know better, I would just duck low for a while.
That's
take
what
a year
doing.
off. Yeah, take a year off. Let people try to forget. Hopefully, in his eyes, cross fingers.
If I were Will Smith, I would go the complete other way with it. I would abandon my acting career, go back into my rap career, but as a total thug gangster rap. Like, yeah, I smacked him. I don't give a shit. And, you know, just go that way with it, and he'll lose most of his popularity with the Hollywood career or whatever. But you know, he'll keep making money. And,
that's who Jada's attracted to anyway, right? So
she dated Tupac. Who's the guy who played Doogie Howser?
Oh, Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. I just blanked on his name. So I remember a professor of mine, they talked about him, that he did Doogie Howser, and he was getting typecast in these fucking nerdy roles in Starship Troopers. He was the smart guy. And so to rehabilitate his career, in a sense, he just went and started doing Broadway. So people, the mainstream, kind of forgot about him. And then he came back and started doing How I Met Your Mother. He was in the fucking White Castle movies. And he came back with a whole new career.
Yeah.
So maybe Will could, like, go and do some Broadway. Because, you know, he'll sell tickets. People will forget about him for a few years. And then he'll come back with some indie drama. And
he'll pull a Dave Chappelle. He'll get into like spoken word or something and start playing like open mics at acoustic open word, slam poetry shit. And then he'll come back after a few. If he wants
to. We're talking about heavy entertainment hitters. They have access to just resources we can't even imagine, you know, in terms of agents, in terms of what have you. in terms of career direction. So it's all where he decides he wants to go. But as far as this leaving it, this being a distant memory, that's not going to happen unless he does something amazing.
Let's say unless he plays it right, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I will say at the end of this though, I do respect the man. He embarrassed himself by smacking Chris Rock, but when he walked away, the swag in his walk.
He held his like. He's like,
I can't hate on it.
Well, you think he would have done that to Joe Rogan? Would he be slagging away? No, he did it to somebody who was little.
Oh no, I'm not disagreeing.
And defenseless. And
I'm not
he walks around with swag. He could have freaking into Jerry's kid.
I hear you, Mike. You're commending him for committing to the choice.
Yes.
It was the wrong choice, but he committed. And,
like
he sold it.
If you were to light my house on fire and it's on tape, but then you walked away looking fly as fuck, I'm still mad that you lit my house on fire. But I acknowledge the swag.
Wow. Okay.
I take it all in.
Okay.
Everyone's
even
package
the whole
deal, man.
picture.
Someone even did like a side-by-side comparison of him walking away to his character walking in the Wild Wild West. And it was like that cowboy swag, and I was like, oh, okay. At least he committed. Anyway.
It may have cost you his career, so I hope you enjoyed that walk.
At least he walked away well.
Mike Lenny liked your walk, Will.
At least he walked away from the end of his career with style.
Yeah, that's true.
I think everyone in a little way, and we don't want to admit it, but in a little way was like, yeah, I wish I could smack the shit out of someone who's talking shit. I mean, not respect, but I at least commend him for doing what no other, acceptable member of society would do. But hey,
we want to do it, but we're adults,
Mm-hmm.
Seriously,
absolutely.
I am so glad. I think we all are glad, people in their right mind, that I didn't make good on things that I wanted to do like that. I have won just by sitting there and eating shit.
Yeah.
He could have handled it so many other ways. He could have left that Academy Award there and walked away if he felt about it. No, he picks it up, goes dancing, crazy in love. It's like, okay, you're full of shit, dude. You are
that's pretty bad.
beyond.
I will say there was a comparison I was talking to somebody about. I had a bouncer a couple years ago who the customer was in the wrong. The customer was wrong. I think like the guy was trying to go into the women's room because his wife was in there and she wasn't feeling well, and the bouncer was like, no, dude, like stop. And the guy kept arguing with him until he's like, I'm fucking police officer, blah, blah, blah. And our bouncer lost his shit. Started yelling at him, like came over to the bar, like, Mike, this motherfucker needs to get the fuck out of here. And I was like, bro, like calm down. Later on, once the situation was diffused and we closed, I was talking to him. I was like, dude, as a bouncer, you are the good guy. Everyone's on your side when the customer's bitching until you start bitching. And you instantly become the bad guy.
True.
And that's kind of in this situation. If Will just shut the fuck up, who knows? People could have went after Chris Rock later if they saw Will like just comforting Jada. Yeah. Chris Rock might be the asshole.
Yeah.
How dare he make fun of this disease? Like that could be the narrative right now. But then Will, he could have just shut the fuck up. He had to make a scene, and now that's a comparison. Chris Rock could have been the asshole. Then Will did something. Now Chris Rock's the hero.
Yep.
Chris Rock's the victim, and all Will had to do was shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. And again, he could have left that. How potent would it have been? He deserves the award. He ain't taking it because his wife got insulted. Holy crap.
He provoked.
In the middle of a standing ovation, you do that. How much more? Who's the asshole now? Goodbye, Chris Rock. You're done. You're done, Chris Rock. Nope.
That's sometimes inaction's the best action.
Absolutely. Sometimes taking it. And that's exactly what Chris Rock did.
Yep, exactly. Chris Rock turned that shit around real quick.
Yep. By not doing anything.
By not doing anything.
And stating what happened. Wow, Will Smith just smacked shit out of me.
Yeah.
You just said what
there was one quick little point I wanted to make if we wanted to close.
We'll wrap it on this one.
Okay. I heard today an interview with Tim Robbins, actually, the actor, Shawshank Redemption. This is the actor, Tim Robbins. He was scheduled to be interviewed on this radio show I was listening to, obviously weeks ahead of time, but he was promoting this play that he is putting on this, I forgot the name of the play, I don't give a shit. And one of the things they asked him was, you're Tim Robbins, you won the Academy, live theater though. What do you think of live theater? And he made this point of, because obviously this interview was made like, assigned weeks in advance, but obviously because of last weekend, they're going to talk about it. So they asked him about live theater, and he says what's so important about live theater is getting back to not necessarily the roots of the craft, but also the roots of how an audience reacts. And you get this from stand-up comedians as well. Live theater, you have the live feedback from an audience, and it's not always the same. You could be the best actor in the world. You could be Tim Robbins and be on stage, and if it's not a good performance, the audience is not going to be very gracious in that response. And he drew the comparison to the Academy Awards, and it's like, with actors in Hollywood, you get into this bubble of being surrounded by sycophants and people encouraging you and telling you you're so great, and you're just in this bubble mind. And if you never get back to that moment of real interaction, you're going to lose it one day. You're going to fly off the handle. And unfortunately, Tim Robbins was saying that this is kind of what we saw this last weekend, is someone who's so wrapped up in not only himself, but the community around him telling him how great he is, that he lost his sense of reality and what the live feedback was going to be. And I don't know. I thought it was great. I'm mad respect for Tim Robbins. I think he's a liberal psycho sometimes, but he is a master of his craft for sure. And I do respect him.
And he makes a point on that. I know we're going to wrap, but Jim Carrey said the first day, Jim Carrey came out and said he was just appalled. He thought it was horrible, but he did come out, I think, in another interview the next day, not defending Will Smith, but kind of like we said, it doesn't excuse anything he did, but to put context. And he's like, we get wrapped up, and he said he was kind of did this too. He's like, as performers, it's never enough for us. So he was talking about Will Smith. He's like, so Will Smith does music. He started doing acting. He started opening businesses. He started producing. He started directing. He started a TikTok. He started doing this. And he's like, why as performers do we feel in our own hubris like we have to do all this shit? Because then it drives us to the fucking breaking point. Kind of like you're saying, you get so collected in this fucking community that you have to keep doing more, to where you just lose your shit. Because I don't know why Will Smith even started doing TikTok. That's a whole fucking thing. But he really has to spread himself thin. And that's part of it too. Kind of like you saying, like you get wrapped up in this fucking community where you feel like you have to do more and more and more. And eventually you're going to fucking lose your shit.
Yeah. So. But
I'm doing 3 things right now and I feel like I'm going to die. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, any last thoughts? I think we covered a lot.
I'm good. I think,
it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I was completely dismissive of Will Smith. It's like, where do you go from here? Well, it's on the internet now, so we'll see. We'll see. I think realistically, nobody's going to get canceled. It's not going to be that bad. He still, if people will pay to see his films, then they're going to keep getting made.
Yeah, he's going to keep doing his thing.
I Will Smith, I think he needed to be humbled, and he's definitely being humbled now. I think the Academy needed to be taken down a rung or two. They've had the record low viewings because everyone's so tired of their pretentious shit, and finally it blew up in their face, and they're having this horrible thing they have to deal with. And I don't care. I don't care about the awards. I'm sorry, but
I really don't either.
And you're gonna have to deal with this, and I don't feel bad for you at all. Sorry.
Well, another thing is there's no such thing as bad press. Damn, there's people still, nobody really cares about, if you're an actor or something like that, or in community theater, you care about a performance, but you're done by Thursday. It's Thursday. This thing has not run its course. So they're getting mad attention. And if there's no such thing as bad press, this is interesting. This is interesting.
I'm glad we wrapped on that last 3 points.
Yeah.
All right.
We're like Lord of the Rings over here. Shit.
Absolutely.
Is there one more ending? All right, we're gonna call it there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the 3 white guys talk about the Academy Awards
and black culture. At least at the end of the day, there were fire memes, and that's all that counts in this world.
That's all that counts. Yeah.
All right.
Rock and roll.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.